In this video, you will learn how to properly conduct a heat of deflection temperature test following ASTM D648, ISO 75 standards, as well as a Vicat softening temperature test following ASTM D1525, ISO 306 standards. To begin the test, turn the water to each of the Rayran HDT Vicat testing apparatuses on by turning the two silver valves so that they are parallel with the blue water lines. Next, turn on both of the Rayrans by pushing the red button located on the side of the machine. The white temperature dial next to the button will have to be rotated so that it is at about 200. If it is set too low to begin with, the machine will automatically turn off in the middle of testing. Before beginning the test, the white temperature dial can be set 20 degrees above the known HDT or Vicat softening temperature. To perform an HDT test, the tip of the testing probe has to be set at this bullnose end. The different probe tips along with the proper screwdriver should be located in one of the metal drawers near the Rayran machines if it is necessary to replace it. Using a bandsaw, cut 4 ASTM dog bone or flame test bars so that they will lay flat on the black span supports so that they are spaced 64 millimeters apart like pictured in the video. Once all of the samples are cut, measure and record the length, width, and thickness of each sample test bar using a caliper as shown. These measurements will have to be converted to millimeters so that they can be entered into the machine later on. To begin setting up the test, press the green button on the Rayran. An operator ID number page will come up. Enter a unique number for your test and then press the green button. This same number should be entered for the material reference number as well as the batch reference number, which will be the next 2 pages to pop up. For the Select Test Type screen, the HDT test should be the default. To select this, press the green button. From this point forward, the green button will be used to select the option listed, while the red button will be used to show a different option if one is needed. Next, the ramp rate listed needs to be set to 120 degrees Celsius per hour because ASTM D648 defines the ramp rate for an HDT test as 2 degrees Celsius per minute. This converts to 120 degrees Celsius per hour. If 120 is not the option listed, as seen here, press the red button. Then the select option should come up on the screen. When this does, press the green button. 90 degrees Celsius per hour should be the default. Press the red button to alter this value and use the numeric keypad to enter 120. Once this value has been entered, hit the green button 2 times. A parameter entry screen with stations 1 and 2 below will appear. Simply press the green button. The stations 1 and 2 screen needs to be enabled if it is not already, so press the red button. Once enabled appears on the screen, the green button can be pressed. The fiber stress should be set to 1.82 megapascals or 264 psi. If this is present, the green button can be pressed. If 1.82 megapascals was not on the screen, the red button needs to be selected until 1.82 appears, and then the green button can be selected. The HDT test can either be performed edgewise or flatwise. However, in this video, the test will be performed flatwise. Since flatwise is on the screen already, the green button can be selected. For the flatwise test, the black span supports need to be set so that they are 64 millimeters away from each other per ASTM D648 standards. For now, just worry about setting the values properly. With the HDT test, the Rayran is used to measure when the sample test bar deflects or bends 0.25 millimeters. So the deflection value needs to be set to 0.25 millimeters, which should be the default as shown. If this is the value that appears on the screen, press the green button, but if not, press the red button until 0.25 millimeters is displayed, and then press the green button. When ensure thickness H is less than thickness B comes up on the screen, simply select the green button. Set the sample test bar thickness, width, and depth so that they are relatively close to the values that you measured and recorded earlier using the caliper. Make sure that the values are entered in millimeters, not inches. The measured values obtained should be rather close to those displayed in this video if ASTM test bars are utilized. Press the green button after each measurement is entered. The initial parameter entry screen with stations 1 and 2 will be displayed again. This time, select the red button so that Continue Test is displayed instead of stations 1 and 2. Once Continue Test is displayed, press the green button. When the start temperature screen appears, the red button needs to be selected so that the start temperature can be set to 23 degrees Celsius, room temperature per ASTM D648 standards. After entering 23 as the value, press the green button 2 times. The Storing Test Parameter Screen Status Complete should be displayed, and then the Start Temperature Stabilizing screen should be displayed. The rest of the parameters will be set once the RayRan is heated. While the machine is heating, set the black support spans to the inmost position. This will make it so that they are the required 64 millimeters apart. Once the RayRan is finally heated, place one sample test bar in each of the 2 test stations so that they rest evenly on the black support spans. Ensure that the end of the probe is touching the middle of the sample test bar. The next screen to be displayed should be the Test Weight Required screen. This is indicating how much weight needs to be added to each test station. Use the smaller RayRan weights pictured. Ensure that when combined, they equal the required weight. Press the green button when the Load Sample screen comes up. Do this for the Add Required Weight screen as well. The initial 5-minute creep process for the heat of deflection test will begin. Quickly remove the weight holding up the test apparatus and gently lower the apparatus into the oil of the RayRan, being careful not to move the samples. Turn on the gauges by pressing the green on-off button and then zero them using the blue origin button. When the creep process is over, a screen like this should appear. This is what the screen will continue to look like while the HDT test is being run. Once the test is complete, this screen with Done flashing in the lower right corner will appear. Record the values displayed on the screen as these are the deflection temperatures for that material. Once the deflection temperatures have been recorded, remove the samples using a pair of tongs. Be careful as the test bar samples will be quite hot. Place the tested samples into the trash. A Vicat test will be performed in much the same way as the HDT test, with only a few minor changes. The first change that has to be made is replacing the tip of the testing probe from the HDT bowl-nosed end to the needle-like Vicat end. Again, these probe ends should be located in one of the drawers near the RayRans. The Vicat test can actually be performed on the other RayRan at the same time as the HDT test. After changing the end of the probe, move the black support spans so that they are at their outmost position. They will be 100 millimeters apart. When performing the Vicat test, the samples simply lay flat on the metal. The test bar sample should not be resting on either of the supports. The same exact parameter settings will be carried out for the Vicat test, except that for the type of test, will have to be changed using the red button so that Vicat is displayed on the screen. The penetration also has to be set to 1.00 millimeters, and the test weights will need to be set to 1 kilogram. Instead of using the small RayRan weights, the large 1 kilogram weight will be used for each testing apparatus. One thing to note about the Vicat test is that it does not undergo a creep process like with the HDT. However, a 5-minute countdown will begin. Once all of the testing has been complete and the samples have been removed from the RayRans and disposed of, turn the white temperature dial back to 0. It may be smart to leave the machine on with the dial turned off so that the water can circulate through and cool the oil of the RayRan. After the machines have cooled down, turn both machines off by pressing the red button used to turn the machine on. Lastly, turn the water off by turning the silver valves so that they are perpendicular to the blue water line.